challenges we have in our district. Some of you aren't from the 5th Assembly District. Congressman Larson has actually pulled a large crowd. I'm very excited that I was able to secure him to be a part of our town hall meeting here in Windsor. So we have friends from West Hartford and throughout his congressional district. So thank you for coming to Windsor and being a part of what I'm calling, and what I know to be true, a very diverse community. So I know I can babble on. I've prepared my remarks. Hey, Mr. Curtis. I've prepared my remarks, and I'm going to read, and I hope you all don't mind me reading exactly from my paper so that I am not babbling on, and that we get to the Q&A. Now, Congressman Larson will be here. He is actually out and about in the district celebrating the 50th anniversary for the March on Washington. And I just, absolutely. I think it's extremely important that we recognize the work that has been done by all of us in this room. I'm not a child of the 1960s civil rights movement, but I am a beneficiary of all of the work that has been done by Black, white, Asian, all people from different walks of life that have helped to create what we now call a great, a more, and a perfect union to some people. So I'll get started. Good evening again, and welcome to Restoring Hope, connecting youth, families, local businesses, and town hall meeting. I would like to thank Peter, our town manager, our town committee, and all of the great residents of Windsor. I also have a few friends from the Hartford Town Committee. We have our spokesperson, Stephen Harris, if you can just wave your hand. We also have a couple other members in-house here. And I think that's it. I think that's it from the Hartford Town Committee. It is my intentions to really forge a relationship in my district that is Hartford and Windsor working together to create some very robust legislation for the following year. But more importantly, how do we impact the lives of the individuals in our communities? And excuse my back, West Hartford. I'd also like to thank the Congressman, John Larson, for serving the 1st Congressional District well over 20 years and really serving our people well here in the state of Connecticut. For tonight's meeting, I will share the following areas to help guide our conversation, and then open the floor for dialogue, as I mentioned earlier, in the form of Q&A. But before I actually go into the points that I'd like to cover, I do want to say that I've held over 5 town hall meetings in our district. Upon taking office, I was frowned upon, actually, from a lot of my colleagues. They were like, "You are crazy to organize town hall meetings. This is your first session, and here we are going into this very busy time, and you're out in the community listening to some of the folks in your district." And had it not been for all of the individuals, some of you in this room and some of them weren't able to attend, I wouldn't be here today to represent all of you at the state capitol. So this is extremely important to me, to always understand and recognize the pulse of the community and what's happening thereabouts. So a couple things I want to cover. I want to talk a little bit about what the state legislature briefly has accomplished so far that has impacted our district. Talk a little bit about more efficient ways to communicate throughout our district. And then also talk about some of the priorities that, from my personal opinion, I think we should probably pursue for the next session. But obviously we can't really move forward with all of that until many of your voices are heard and we're able to create an agenda. So the first point, state legislature action and impact. There were quite a few dollars poured into our district That is over $42,000 for the Windsor Police Department partnership collaboration around addressing the needs for our young people with respect to gun violence and just allowing our young people to have greater opportunities to engage them in our neighborhood and recognize that all of our young people aren't out killing people. But there are solutions to some of those problems that we faced in the past. Also, there were several other organizations throughout our district to receive some of those fundings and will also receive a second allotment in the upcoming session as well. State-funded child care legislation that ensured child care facilities that received loans from the state of Connecticut for construction costs to continue to receive state financial assistance, including funds from school readiness programs and so on. And I know from a lot of my constituents in the 5th district, down in the southern portions of Windsor, early childhood education is extremely important to a lot of the parents and even just community stakeholders in our district, so it was important for me to support that. Minimum wage. There's legislation that we voted on to increase the minimum wage to $9 over the next several years, 50-cent increments. And when it's all over, folks will be making about $9.25 over the next few years. So on a practical level, families can earn approximately $900 more. It doesn't sound like a lot. I just recently got married, and I'm the only person in the house working at the moment. My wife is in law school, and every penny matters nowadays. So whether it's gas or buying some groceries, it adds up. And so it is extremely important that we allow for our families not to live, penny check by check, but how do we provide livable wages to individuals that are most in need. Housing, homeowner protection rights. This particular legislation helps to facilitate a fair and speedy foreclosure mediation process. Many of our people throughout Connecticut have faced foreclosure. As a result of losing their jobs, not having the financial means to take care of their homes, taxes increasing. And so it's just extremely important that we begin to hold all of the parties accountable so that we're helping many of the homeowners that are most in need to keep their homes and to stay in their homes. And so on the state level, we fought for homeowner protection rights. The provision also includes at least 3 mediation sessions before referring the case to a judge, a requirement that banks mediate in good faith, which helps also remove blighted properties from neighborhoods by shortening the foreclosure timelines. Education. Is education important to all of us? I hope. We had some policy that was passed last session before I got there around reforming our educational system. And so we focused a little bit on teacher evaluation programs that required instruction on how to conduct comprehensive, coordinated social and emotional assessments for our educators. Unfortunately, we have a lot of new educators enter into our system. We have quite a few people that have been in the system for many, many years, and our young people and families are changing. And how do we respond to some of those needs in a way that it is helpful to the child? Oh yeah, you're the most important guy here, John. I got a couple more points, and then I will turn it over to the congressman. My second point, and I believe is most important to me, is how do we create more of a communication line in our district? Yes, to work closely with, our town committee is important. But when there are times when there's legislation or important information that needs to be shared throughout our district, how best should we communicate that information? You would think that I am computer savvy and I could hook all this stuff up. I had a nice little presentation for you But I want to encourage all of you to frequent the website. And I have information in the back with Georgette for all of you to take with you or to share with your neighbors. Go on the website. There's a lot of information available to the residents in our district. But most importantly, if there is a need or a question, or you just want me, Brandon, I need you to focus on this particular policy, you can easily get in touch with me through the website. There's a number on there. Some of you, how many of you on Facebook? Maybe not. I'll call you. I'll write a letter to some of you. But these are all of the different forms of communication that I will continue to pursue to create a more efficient way on communicating to the district. Lastly, priorities for the 2014 legislative session. Education, education, education. And I'll leave it at that. Small business development. At my first town hall meeting, I talked a lot about shopping local, being a part of your local community. I love Geisler's. I don't know about you all, but did it just get high here or was it just me? I love Geisler's. I love the idea of being able to walk to your local grocery store. I know over the town line there are a lot of bodegas that come, that pop up everywhere. And for me, I don't want to see small businesses or small businessmen and women put out of business, but I also want to hold small business people accountable. So that is, if we're going to have these bodegas and small grocery stores with unhealthy foods, then they don't need to be there. But how do we encourage more small business development right here in our town? And how do we put the state of Connecticut on notice with respect to providing funds to many of our small business owners here in our district? And so one of the things that I've been doing is working with our commissioner from the Department of Planning, or rather the state of Connecticut's Economic and Community Development Commission, around providing her with some of the challenges we're facing right here in our town, and that we need more money coming into our local town to stimulate, or to rather really build a robust economy that we all are looking forward to. And then lastly, our ex-offenders. How do we provide a holistic sort of approach and support to those re-entering into our communities? Jobs, housing, supportive services. And I know some people are thinking, well, we don't have that. We don't have that in Windsor. Well, we do. We do. And we need to figure out how best do we support those individuals, not to enable them. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is, how do we create opportunities for individuals that are looking to reestablish their lives in communities that are safe and that are appropriate for families to grow? So, education, small business development, and also ex-offenders around strengthening and streamlining some sort of support system. Lastly, I recognize that there is much work to be done in our district, and it takes a community to band together in order for change to actually happen. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's actually real. It's real. We have the tools, we have the people, we have the energy, we have the institutional knowledge. For the most part, we possess sincere hope to revitalize our town and even relationships in this district. I thank all of the Windsor residents for listening to me, and West Hartford, I hope your ears aren't bleeding. But thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity, whether you supported me or not. Thank you for the opportunity to serve each of you for the betterment of our district, our local neighborhoods, and also just the people in our neighborhoods. And so I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to January, going back up to the state capitol. But what's most important is that I hear from all of you in this room around the policies that are most important to our neighborhood. So before we actually get into the Q&A, Congressman, I want to invite you. A lot of these folks are here for you, man. I probably would have had 4 people here had it not been for you. But let's give a round of applause And he was out in the district celebrating 50 years of civil rights here in our nation, here in Windsor, but there are several organizations that were commemorating the 50th anniversary for the March on Washington. So I'm going to turn it over to you, my dear friend and colleague and mentor, and the list goes on. But you got a lot of folks here asking questions, so.
Well, first of all, let me thank Brendon for organizing this tonight, and he deserves a great round of applause. I think the most important thing any elected representative can do for the public is make sure that you're informing them and educating them on the issues of the day and everything that's going on, especially not only in Hartford, but from my standpoint in Washington, D.C. as well. And Brandon's correct. We paused today. The President gave a very